Welcome back. This is Stephen once again from Life in a Home. It's good to have you with me once again. I woke up this morning and I thought there's not much going on today. And indeed, it hasn't exactly been a busy day, but a few things happened which have made me think. The first thing that happened was that we had a food delivery from a local supplier, and the guy who came to bring the food said to me, "Have you got much going on today?" And I looked at him a bit puzzled and I said, "Well, no, not really. We're retired. Not much happens when you're retired." And that made me think that's not entirely true, because there were supposed to be a number of things happening today. We were supposed to be going on a long car journey down to the southwest of England, but that got postponed because of illness in the family, and also the weather conditions down in the southwest, which have been far from good recently, flooding and goodness knows what else. So we felt it was best to avoid that journey at the moment and perhaps go in a month's time. But I then decided I'd go out for a walk mid-morning, and on my way out of the premises I came across a number of other residents, and I did the usual greetings and said hello and whatnot. But one of the residents was particularly keen, I think, to talk to me. And this is what I want to discuss this morning, because well, not this morning, it's this afternoon now, but this was something that surprised me. And I think I learned something from it, because the gentleman concerned, it's in his mid to late 80s, I would say. And up until last week, he was a driver and he had a car which was parked in the car park. But suddenly, after some consideration, last week he decided that the time was right to give up his car. Now, he told Margaret, my wife, about this, and I hadn't had a chance to discuss the matter with him, but he seemed quite keen this morning to tell me about it. And what he said was that he'd become more stressed and anxious and worried and troubled when he was taking his car out onto the roads around here, with people being angry and honking horns and general sort of road rage stuff going on. And so this had made him very concerned, because also there is a growth of traffic and it's not always easy driving in one-way systems, and when there's continual roadworks and things as there have been in this area recently. So he had his car serviced, and when he did, the people who serviced it said, "We'd like to buy your car," and they gave him a quotation which he thought was quite acceptable. He didn't do anything immediately and he slept on it for a few days, but then after discussion with his wife, he decided that, yes, I do need to give up driving. And this is a gentleman who'd been driving, he told me, for 60 years. So this was no small decision he'd made. It was quite hard for him, I think, to come to the point. But what was surprising was that, having made his decision, he told me that he felt much better. Firstly, his wallet was better because he'd saved a lot of money. He'd also got the cash from the sale of the car, but his insurance would be due soon. The MOT on the car, the annual test, and his road tax, that's the other thing, was also due soon. And so it seemed an opportune time to give up the car, the saving of the road tax, the insurance, and the MOT. Well, yeah, he'd had the MOT anyway. Um, so he took the opportunity and phoned the garage and asked them if the offer still stood, and if so, would they come and collect it? And it was arranged that on the day he made his decision or conveyed his decision, the garage came and collected the car that afternoon. And as he reflected on this decision, he said he had no regrets about the decision he'd made, although it had been quite difficult. Because on top of the financial relief it had given him, it also given him the ability to have less stress, less anxiety, and as a consequence of that, he was sleeping better, both him and his wife. So the effects on them, their mental health, and indeed, I guess, their physical health in the long term, has been already beneficial, and he has no regrets. And that made me think, when we get up in the morning, we may not think much is going on, but for a lot of people, there is much going on. He'd only recently made this decision, which was for him a momentous decision. And he was glad, having done it, that he'd done it. And it was good that he recounted what this decision had meant to him, to me. And I must say, I commend him for his guts in doing it and for the way it's turned out. He's now using the buses or the taxis or other public transport that's available to get about. And a week into it, he doesn't seem to think it's going to cause any real problems to him. So well done to him. So that's my day today, a day that I didn't expect much to happen, and I don't suppose much has happened to me, but I have learned something. There may well come a time, or there will come a time at some point where I am ready to give up the car, and that the effects of doing that won't be all negative. It will have its benefits. And once I begin to feel stress, the anxiety, the worries of driving, I need to listen to my body and my mind and make that decision. I don't know whether any of you are in a similar circumstances or are pondering on giving up your license or your car, or whether that's far down the road for you. It'd be good to hear what your thoughts on this are, and whether the thought has crossed your mind and at what point you think that would happen. So thanks again for coming back to life in a home. This is just one of the events of the day-to-day things that go on. And I want to try and share some of those things with you, the differences people experience in their lives, and the ways we can learn from each other and this community in which I find myself in. I look forward to bringing my next thoughts to you, and have a good day. Take care. Bye for now.